And so if you do something like 3+3, binding early decision, or if you only apply to one school, you're, it's like you're only shopping for one car and you're just like, I don't care what the price is.
Hello and welcome to episode 501 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. I'm Ben Olson. With me is Nathan Fox. We're the co-founders of LSATdemon.com and the LSAT Demon Daily podcast. Today, we're going to start this episode with law school reject rates. Nate, this is something that you love to talk about on the show. We like to talk about how schools get rejected because everybody's obsessed about getting in, and that's not what they should be obsessed about. What did you find here?
Well, this is all just from public data, right? Using the ABA data, yield is on the form. Yield is how many people did you admit, and then how many of those people actually enrolled. And that doesn't really mean anything to applicants. I don't think students resonate with the idea of yield very well.
Yeah,
but
sure.
If you do 1 minus yield, you get what I'm calling reject rate. And reject rate is how often are applicants who were admitted telling the school, no thanks, I've got better offers.
Yeah. Yep.
And the one shocking thing that you see right off the bat is that there are only 2 schools that have a reject rate under 50%.
Yep.
And you could probably predict what those 2 schools would be, or at least you could name 2 out of the 3. It's going to be some combination of Harvard, Stanford, Yale. So it's Yale and Harvard. Yale rarely gets rejected. Last year, they made 229 offers. They enrolled 174 students. So that's a reject rate of only 24%. If you get that offer from Yale, only 24% of the time, still 24%, but only 24% of people admitted to Yale are going to say, yeah, nah. I got better things to do with my time. Harvard is second on the lowest reject rate list. But still almost 42% of people admitted to Harvard Law School tell them no thanks.
Yeah.
Kind of amazing, right?
That's amazing. Yeah.
Even Stanford Law School, which last year made 378 offers, only enrolled 171 students.
Yeah.
For a reject rate of 55%. So more than half of people admitted to even a school as good as Stanford are saying, nah, I got better offers.
Yeah.
And I think the moral of the story here is that we really want to encourage applicants to put themselves in the driver's seat. Instead of applying to just one school, they need to realize that if you just apply broadly, you're going to get great offers from all over the place. And then you get to pick and choose. And you should be rejecting far more schools than are admitting you. It shouldn't be just like, oh, I hope to get in somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead, it should be, I know I'm going to get in somewhere. And I'm applying broadly so that I put myself in a good negotiating position. I mean, that's the negotiation essentially, is to apply early, apply broadly with your best LSAT. If you put out 20, 25 applications into the world, you're going to get interesting offers. And then you get to choose which one you want to accept instead of just barely squeaking into some school and taking whatever price they are going to offer you.
Yeah.
If you flip it, the schools with the highest reject rates, I think, are also pretty interesting.
Okay.
If you look at the very bottom of the list, so or top of the list, depending on how you're thinking about it, New England Law in Boston. Now, this is not a prestigious school, right? It's ranked 159th in the country, has the highest reject rate of any school with 2,000 or more applications. Last year, they had to admit 2,588 students. They made almost 2,600 offers, and they only enrolled a class of 400.
Yeah.
So that school has a reject rate of 85%. It does look like there were maybe two, it was a buyer's market in Boston, I guess, last year.
Yeah.
Because 3 out of the bottom 5 schools were Northeastern, ranked 68th in the country, Boston University, ranked 24th in the country, and again, New England Law in Boston, ranked 159th. But those 3 schools all had reject rates above 80%. And that's 3 out of the bottom 5. So I guess there were, what does that mean? That means that there were just, more offers being made by New England schools than there were applicants who wanted to take those offers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about BU specifically. That's really interesting to me that a school that's, they're in the top 25, right? BU's ranked 24th in the country.
Yeah.
But last year, to admit a class of 208, they made almost 1,300 offers of admission for a reject rate of 84%.
Yeah.
84% of the people who are admitted to this top 25 school either had a better school that they could go to, maybe Harvard, which is just right across the river, or maybe they just went to some other school that gave them a better scholarship offer. Who knows?
Yeah. So to try to put the student in the shoes of the admissions office at all these schools, except for Yale and Harvard, are expecting you to say no.
Yeah. Even if you're Stanford,
yeah,
the odds are for any given applicant, the odds are they're going to tell you to fuck off.
Yeah. So,
which is wild to me.
That is wild. And it should make you more confident in asking for money because they're expecting you to walk away.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong, right? When they when they puff up their feathers and act like this is such a great opportunity, how dare you ask for a better offer? You can just remember that's not actually how they feel.
Yeah.
Because they know you're going to leave.
Yeah. And it goes to show how bad for applicants things like 3+3 programs are, or early decision binding early decision programs, anything like that. I got an email this week from a brand new someone who signed up for a Demon Live subscription. Demon free LSAT Demon subscription, and got an email from me, and she wrote back. And she was talking to me about Howard's 3+3 program. She's enrolled in Howard's 3+3 program.
Oh, wow.
And she told me that on her diagnostic, she got like a 155.
Holy smokes.
And it's like, like that Howard 3+3 program couldn't be worse for you if you have a diagnostic LSAT of 155. You will get scholarship offers at better schools than Howard.
Yeah.
If you prep for the LSAT, like you're going to end up with 165 or 170, which is the type of score that just doesn't really go to Howard Law.
Yeah.
And so that 3+3 program is just so bad for someone like her because it prevents you from applying broadly. Yeah. I mean, you don't get to actually play the game that other people are playing.
Yeah.
Because this does also, I think, make it clear that other people are in fact playing that game.
Yeah.
There's far more admissions. There's far more offers of admission in the United States than there are enrollees.
Yeah.
And this means that like your competitors out there are applying to multiple schools. They're getting offers from multiple schools. They're weighing them. They're comparing them to one another. They're thinking about the value.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you do something like 3+3, binding early decision, or if you only apply to one school,
oof,
you're, it's like you're only shopping for one car, and you're just like, I don't care what the price is.
Yeah, and oftentimes students will even tell the schools that.
Yeah,
right. It's like going to, hey, this is the only car I've looked at. I just don't plan to look anywhere else. Oh, really? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
how much are you thinking about spending? Because that's what we're going to charge you.
Yeah. To be clear, when we say negotiate, we don't just mean the part where you actually say, hey, can you do any better than your offer you're making?
Yeah.
The critical first step of the negotiation is to just apply broadly, because you literally don't see their price. I mean, we know that the nominal tuitions are just fake, right? I mean, they like hardly anybody pays full price. What's the number? 19%?
19%. Yeah.
19% of law students in the United States pay the nominal tuition. So if you're looking at their website or you're looking at their 509 and you just look at the tuition line, that's just not the real price.
Yeah.
81% of people pay less than that. So but you don't get to find out. Like, they make you a first offer when they admit you, but that only happens if you apply and are admitted.
Well, the best is when they don't even make you an offer and they just wait for you
to accept,
to reveal your willingness to pay full price. They're like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We didn't even think you were going to accept, because 60, 70, 80% of students who we admit turn around and walk away. But thanks for accepting and offering to pay full price.
I always think of, it's an old man reference, but I don't know if you remember, Ben, on Seinfeld, when Kramer had a lawsuit against Starbucks. And he's like he had like a very valid lawsuit against Starbucks for some reason.
Yeah. I think
it might not have even been Starbucks.
And he jumped up and like agreed to it or something.
The guy was like ready to, he was going to give him like $100,000 or something, and free coffee for life. And the guy starts off with, okay, we'd like to offer you free coffee for life. And Kramer jumps off the couch. Just jumps out of his seat. I'll take it. And he just accepts the offer before he sees. Anyway, that's what so many, naive law school applicants look like.
Yeah.
And that might be one of the reasons why they admit so many people, is that they're like just going to admit
they're fishing.
They're going to make bad offers to a ton of people to see if people will take bad offers.
Yeah.
And they catch some of those fish. Those are the people who are going to actually pay for law school. And then meanwhile, the savvy applicants are like, you kidding me? I got 15 other offers on the table. Why would I take that offer?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else here that you see that's interesting on the reject rate statistics? I am noticing, there are some really good schools that have, lots of really good schools have really high reject rates, right? Vanderbilt in the top 20 with an 82% reject rate.
Yeah.
If you go
by
down,
reject, that means they're getting rejected. Don't think that that's a good thing for them. That's not good for Vanderbilt. That means 82% or 83% of people are rejecting them. So
yeah. Their yield is 17.7%. Their reject rate is 82.3%.
Yeah.
So for every 5 people they admit, they enroll less than 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that's at Vanderbilt, ranked 19th in the country.
Yeah.
So the quality, the prestige, the competitiveness of these schools, don't let them lie to you. It drops off dramatically. I mean, this chart drops off precipitously from Yale.
Yeah.
It's like Yale, Harvard, and then, now all other schools, including Chicago, Stanford, Duke, Harvard, or Duke, Penn, UVA, Columbia, Michigan, all these schools that you think are these fabulous, but something like 60% of the people they admit tell them no.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next item on the agenda is about our scholarship estimator. The estimator is available at lsatdemon.com/scholarships. You want to read this email from Warthog?
Yeah, it says, hey guys, I'm a 175 3.0 splitter looking to apply in September, and I'm fucking spiraling.
Oh.
Okay. The latest scholarship estimator update turned me inside out. All of my prospective full rides are gone. and schools that were projected to offer me stipends now show less than half. That's a big drop. I understand application numbers are up, but damn, it feels like my hard-fought LSAT score just went in the trash. Is there any chance this is a fluke, or is this shit just the new normal? I studied for the LSAT with dollar signs in my eyes and was committed to not paying a single cent toward tuition. I figured with a GPA like mine, there wouldn't be any benefit in improving my LSAT further. Does that calculus change in light of this new landscape? Yours, Warthog.
So the thing people need, I think the news has gotten out that this is a particularly busy cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But the estimator is looking back at last year's data, right? We just got ABA 5. I mean, that comes out like at the beginning of the year, basically, is we get admission stats for the previous cycle. So we're really, when you look at the estimator, what we're really doing is estimating based on the class that started in 2024.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We know that it's a busy cycle. We know that it's a competitive cycle, but we have seen lots of great offers as well this cycle. So we don't really know what's going to happen. We're not forward looking. We're always just backward looking. Here's what you would have done. Here's what we think you would have done based on last year's data.
Yeah.
There was a reporting change, though, that could have something to do with this.
Yeah, and we've talked about it a lot on the show, but they've redefined what it means to be a full tuition scholarship. Before, they would report on the 509s if they offered a full tuition scholarship and covered all of tuition, but not fees, then that would get reported as a full tuition scholarship. Anything over full would be reported as more than full, which we reported on the estimator as possible stipend. But that's changed now. So in order to qualify as a full tuition scholarship, the scholarship has to cover not only tuition, but also fees. And we've seen schools that offer students full tuition scholarships, but then turn around and report them accurately on the 509 report as just more than half rather than as a full tuition scholarship because it doesn't cover the fees, right? So they're like, well, it's not quite full as it is defined in the 509.
Yeah, it could be a well-meaning attempt by somebody at the American Bar Association to try to provide more transparency on the 509s. But I'm not sure they really thought it through all the way because now full tuition means exactly full tuition. $1 more should say, or sorry, full tuition means exactly full tuition plus all mandatory fees.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. And if it's $1 more, it should be reported as more than full. And if it's $1 less, it should be reported as more than half, which is silly to me because they clearly are sending letters to applicants, right? I mean, they're trying to avoid the 80% reject rate that they have.
Yeah.
And they send out letters of admission that say, we're offering you a full tuition scholarship. But if it doesn't cover even $1 of the mandatory fees, they only have to report that on the 509 as more than half.
Yeah.
I do have specific advice for Warthog.
Okay. Yeah.
Apply broadly, dude. Just apply broadly. The estimator is an estimate. It's backward looking based on last year's 509 data. There is a difference between what the offer actually looks like and what the 509 looks like. Because of this reporting issue that we were just discussing.
Yeah.
But you don't know what your offer is going to be until you actually apply. So 175 3.0 splitter, I have no doubt that you can get solid offers.
Yeah.
You just need to apply broadly and see what kinds of offers actually come in. It is not time to panic. You won't really know what all your offers look like until basically this time next year. Right? You're going to apply in September. You're not going to get all of your offers in until spring of 26.
Yeah.
And you got to take the estimator with a grain of salt and just trust that law schools are out there playing this game, trying to lower their reject rate, trying to attract qualified applicants, even in tough cycles. And Don't let that reporting glitch, scare you off of doing things the right way, which again, apply early, apply broadly with your best LSAT. Do you think there's any point in Warthog trying to improve on a 175?
No.
I don't think so either.
It's just so high, right?
It's 99th percentile, and you're probably not getting into Harvard, Stanford, Yale, those kinds of schools anyway with a 3.0. So it just like you're going to be below the median at every school. I mean, there's like no credible law school has below a 3.0 median GPA.
Yeah.
So you're a splitter, you're lowering the median at every school. That 175 is going to raise the median at pretty much every school. And so I don't see how a 177 makes any difference to somebody like Warthog.
Yeah.
But it is critical, not every school is going to be backing up the dump truck full of money on you with a 3.0. They're going to be, it's like going to be kind of a tough decision for them. They're looking at you going, well, all right, you've got the horsepower as indicated by your 175. You might be kind of a bad student though, as indicated by your 3.0. And you're going to lower our prestige by lowering our median GPA. You're going to raise our prestige though, by raising our median LSAT. Okay, what kind of an offer do we want to make this person? And if you apply to 20 schools that are in a reasonable target range, you're going to get some, if not full ride, damn near full ride offers.
Yeah, that's the tough part. Is it might be a full ride plus even half of the fees, but it's still going to be reported on the 509.
Oh yeah,
as just more than half. So when you see more than half on the estimator, don't just assume the worst and think that means half.
Yeah, and it could be, they could send it out to you with, it could be a named full tuition scholarship and still get reported as a more than half scholarship because of these new ABA rules. Again, that's the effect. It could be someone well-meaning at the ABA who just kind of misunderstood the assignment. It could also be an example of regulatory capture where the schools are like, hey, we don't want it getting out there how many full tuition scholarships we give.
Yeah.
Can we please just report these as, I think it should be reported as more than half if it doesn't cover every dollar of the fees.
Because we admit that fees really are
fees
part
are
of tuition.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And, so what we would expect, a savvy law school would, like you could make it look like you give no full tuition scholarships, even though you offer everybody a full tuition scholarship.
Yeah.
According to these ABA rules. Okay. There is another one here from Lewis. Kind of the same deal. Almost the same numbers, but yeah, you want to read it?
Sure. The subject is scholarship estimator broken? ? Hello to everyone at the Demon. I'm wondering if the scholarship estimator is broken since almost all schools that offered possible stipends with my GPA of 3.3 and target LSAT score of 176 have switched to either just more than half or less than half. It used to be most of the schools ranked below 25. Now there are barely any. I also noticed that the GPA field now accepts input higher than 4.3. It didn't do this before, writes Lewis. I have been studying to take the LSAT, but since noticing this change, I've lost motivation to study as I was hoping to get full tuition or possible stipend because as an international student, I can't afford to attend otherwise. Okay, I mean, this is the same problem. Two things to note here. One, the change to 4.3 did take place actually quite a while ago. That's because we found out that LSAC GPAs can go as high as 4.3.
4.33 is what we have in the scholarship estimator.
Yeah.
Is that correct? That they can accept 4.33?
I am pretty sure that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the third of a grade. Yeah. So that change has been in place for a while. Which is also a problem. When that came out, we talked about it. We said this is so bizarre because some schools don't have A+, other schools do.
Yeah. It is a silly game. I mean, it's crazy. Like undergraduate institutions that don't give A+ are putting their law school aspirants at a disadvantage.
Yes.
Because whether you you don't even have to, it doesn't matter if they give you a 4.3 for an A+, LSAC does.
Yes.
So those pluses might not hit your transcript at all, but they do affect your LSAC UGPA.
Yeah.
Good
Totally.
reason. Like, hey, if you're about to start college and you're listening to the show, you're considering where to go to undergrad, but you're sure you want to go to law school, you might want to ask those schools whether they give A pluses.
Yeah. And like you said, it doesn't matter if they give you a 4.33 for those A pluses.
Yeah.
All that matters is that they put that little plus sign next to your A.
Your undergraduate GPA does not matter for law school admissions because LSAC is going to recalculate your GPA based on your grades. And if it says A plus, LSAC is giving you a 4.3 or 4.33. I'm not sure, but we need to.
I'm pretty sure it's
clarify
4.33. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, cool. But not that would make a huge difference. I don't think 0.03 of a point.
Yeah, true. But anyways, so back to this question. This is the same problem that we were talking about earlier, and that is that it's very possible that a lot of schools that would have given you possible stipends with a 3.3 and a 176 are now switched to more than half because before, a possible stipend could be a situation where they gave you full tuition and some, potentially all the way up to all of the fees, and that would be considered a possible stipend. But now, as long as they don't cover all of your fees, it's just more than half.
Yeah. All right. So we do have a reporting issue that should have changed everybody's results that the estimator is spitting out. It just doesn't change your actual offers. And the only way, so same advice for Lewis, right? You have to apply broadly to see what kinds of offers you're actually going to get. It's a really stupid system. I mean, it's crazy to think that you have to apply to buy this product before you know what the price of the product is. But that's the game we're playing because only 19% of law school students in the United States pay full price.
Yeah.
So, and they just won't tell you what the price is. Not until they admit you. It's going to be a custom price for you only. And it's shady as hell. Do you like shopping for cars, Ben?
No, I don't enjoy it.
I fucking hate shopping for cars. That's why I buy cars at CarMax, because there's just one price.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'd rather just take whatever they've got at CarMax so I don't have to do the negotiation. There's probably other things I could do. Like, I had a law school professor who was like, what you do is you send or not law school. This was an undergrad professor a million years ago. An economics professor. What you do is you send a fax to 30 different auto dealers.
A fax.
Specifying exactly what you want. Yeah, well, this tells you how long ago it was. Right? This was 1996 that I was getting this advice.
Okay.
And it was like figure out exactly what you want and then send that out to 30 dealers.
Okay.
And say, I'm going to take the best offer by tomorrow. And see what you get back. And when you get back the best offer, send that back out to all the dealers that responded and say, hey, anybody beats this, I'm buying the car in 5 minutes or whatever. But I mean, you do need to play, like, that's for a $20,000 automobile.
All that effort, yeah.
This is for a $200,000 or more JD.
Which you cannot return if you do not like it.
Yeah, you can't just sell it. You can't just trade it in. You can't just whatever. This is for, like, this is your permanent record, and it's 10 times as expensive.
Yeah.
And, the equivalent, of course, you can't just fax the schools and say, hey, make me an offer. You have to go through the hoops, jump through the hoops of actually applying to be admitted, writing all their stupid essays and filling in all their forms and everything. It's a test of how lawyerly you are. Because lawyers don't mind that shit at all. Lawyers love that shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I get to do paperwork? Perfect. But same advice for both Warthog and Lewis. Please just apply broadly. Write us back, a year from now, you guys are both going to be looking at great offers if you do it our way.
Yeah.
Warthog has a 175. Lewis has a 176. You guys are going to be great applicants for schools that are outside the top 25.
Yeah, so this is the scary and important thing to always remember. When you see more than half on the estimator, last year that could have appeared as full.
Yeah.
Or as potential stipend.
Yeah. We should probably make a caveat on the estimator. We should probably like make that more explicit. According to their new rules, we should probably say, hey, asterisk, more than half can definitely mean half. More than half can definitely mean full.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so silly because full tuition now, there should be almost no schools that are offering exactly full tuition scholarships on the ABA 509 because there's $1. There's exactly $1 amount that would result in a full tuition scholarship.
Yeah.
$1 more should say stipend, $1 less should say more than half, but more than half can definitely be more than a full tuition scholarship. So one adjustment we did recently make to the scholarship estimator, Ben, has to do with capping LSATs for people who are like way above the 75th percentile. This is only going to affect splitters.
Yeah.
But how does it work?
Well, so if the 75th percentile for a given school is a 160 and you have a 170, the idea is, okay, well, that 170 is so far above their 75th percentile that it's probably not going to help them that much. All they need for you is to be above their 50th percentile. You're now way above their 75th percentile. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that 170 and cap it. I think we cap it at 3 points above each school's 75th percentile.
Okay. So this is really only going to apply to splitters, right? What we just didn't want to overestimate the scholarships for splitters.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're above their 50th GPA and you're above their 50th LSAT, we presume you're going to be getting really attractive offers from this school.
Yeah, yeah.
But for people who, the people who are complaining, right? We've seen these two on Thinking LSAT, and we saw another one on LSAT Demon Daily. But it's splitters. It's low GPA, high LSAT that they have seen those estimates on the estimator change a little bit. That doesn't mean that they can't get the full rides, though.
No, and it's possible that the formula or the index formulas already account for that split.
True.
And so maybe we've overcompensated for it.
True.
We'll have to look into it, but yeah.
Yeah, again, it's an estimator, right? We're not making you any promises. We're looking at last year's data and we're doing some kind of an estimate to try to predict your scholarships. We've been pretty accurate at predicting actual offers, but they do vary wildly from student to student, from school to school.
Yeah.
The only way really to combat this is to apply broadly and see what kinds of offers you actually get.
Yeah.
One more thing for Lewis. I don't think
Sure.
we finished Lewis's email, but Lewis does mention that he's an international student.
Yeah.
Lewis, you need to be clear about whether your GPA even counts. As an international student, you may or may not get an LSAC GPA.
Yeah.
And if you do, that kind of sucks for you because you think you've got a 3.3. But it's possible that LSAC doesn't even give you a GPA, in which case you're applying with just your 176. So who knows how that plays out in the market, but I have a feeling probably in your favor since your GPA is working against you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Moving on. This next email is about eliminating wrong answers as a strategy. This is from Ethan. The subject is process of elimination.
Hi, Ben and Nathan. Love the podcast and the website. Do you think there are times where you can be confident in an answer simply because you have eliminated all the other possibilities? I only ask because there have been times in LR where I have eliminated all answer choices except one. However, because I didn't fully understand what that answer choice meant, I eliminated it as well and chose one of the other choices. When I review a question, I can clearly see where I went wrong and what the answer choice meant. I'm just wondering if it's okay to just rely on the process of elimination in cases where I might not fully understand the correct answer. Thanks so much, Ethan.
Yeah, totally. There are two ways to answer a question. There's also two ways to get a question wrong, but let's talk about the two ways to get it right. And that is you can either eliminate the four wrong ones that you understand, or you understand the correct answer and you pick it and you quickly dismiss the others because you see at least one problem with them.
Yeah. It's not your first option, right? it's like you're an NFL quarterback and you're sort of like checking down your receivers, like looking at your options.
Okay.
And you've got like options that you want to go with, and then you've
Yep.
got like emergency dump it off kind of options,
Yeah.
and or throw it out of bounds. And it is like ideally, yeah, you're gonna positively identify the right answer. Maybe you predicted it, or it just when you read it, it totally clicks, and you're like, absolutely, that makes this argument better, or absolutely, that is the conclusion of this argument, or whatever it is. But other times, you're not going to see that perfect option. And in real life, that what happens to me is I would have eliminated all five. I just would have gone, no, 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 no. Well, it's got to be one of these.
Yeah.
Let me go back through and like double eliminate the ones that I really understand to be wrong. And so, yeah, sometimes I might end up settling like, well, I don't really get this answer, but I do get these other four, and I get them to be wrong. I just see reasons. I conclusively know that they're wrong. Notice what Ethan did.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I eliminated it as well because I didn't understand it. In other words, Ethan eliminated the correct answer that he didn't understand and chose one of the other choices that he did understand and at least previously concluded was wrong. I mean, that's retreating to like safety or something, retreating to, territory that you understand. But if you understand it and you know that it's wrong, do not pick it.
Yeah. It's okay to do process of elimination sometimes. And it kind of sucks when you're picking an answer you don't understand. That sucks.
Yeah.
But worse than that is picking an answer that you do understand and you know it's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Anything more for Ethan?
No. Keep going.
Thank you, Ethan.
You ready for personal statements?
Personal statement gong show.
Okay, this is where we're going to read a personal statement. Someone sent a personal statement in, so thank you to whoever sent it in. But as soon as we have an issue with your personal statement, we are going to ring the gong and stop reading. So the challenge for everyone out there who wants to submit their personal statement is to see how long you can get us to read it. Jeremiah, who was the first one to experience the Gong show, set the bar at 5 lines. Today we have a personal statement, it looks like from James. Good luck, James.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, go for it.
Pacific Northwest mist gently fell as my dad and I drove home from my 4th grade soccer tryouts.
Okay, we're done. Gong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be. Do you want to reject the gong?
No, that's a gong for me. I don't give a fuck. Like, what? Who cares where you're from? You're writing about the mist gently falling. Well, fuck off. You're not understanding the assignment.
No.
The assignment is to tell me why you're going to kick ass in law school. You're telling me about driving home with your dad from 4th grade soccer.
Yep. So here's the problem. First of all, the mist gently falling was not a gong moment, but it was, okay, this is going really artsy. Where are we going with this? And then as soon as you mention 4th grade, it's like, that has nothing to do with law school.
I also don't want to hear about high school. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're like, James he's like 10 years. I would have rang the gong on 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, all of high school. And really, I mean, depending on how old James is and what James has done in his life, if he's been in the workforce for any period of time, I also don't want to hear about college.
Yeah. Yeah.
Law school is for serious people.
Yep.
And so I just don't see how, like, this seems to be just obviously a waste of the reader's time.
Yeah. I went and read the rest of this paragraph out of curiosity to try to understand where it's going. Just as you were talking, his dad gave him a compelling comment. and that comment has motivated him ever since. But the best way to show that is to show what you're doing now in your career.
By like just skimming it. It's like, what? There's this metaphor about the Mariners, and you're telling me about the AAA affiliate, the Tacoma Rainiers, and the blah, blah, blah. Like, who are you? What do you do? What are you bringing to the table? Yeah. You telling me, talking about the mist and then talking about baseball, like big league baseball and AAA baseball, and I have no idea who you are, what you do. I don't know what your experience is. I have no idea. I mean, now, like, look, Ben, just scanning down into the fourth paragraph.
Yeah.
We see something about assisting a partner with mergers and acquisitions transactions.
Huh?
Like, this is an adult person. This is a grown-up person.
Yeah.
Who has done real work.
Has done apparently M&A work. Assisting, though, that can be loosely applied to a lot of things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Second sentence of the fourth paragraph is, in my first job as a paralegal.
Yeah.
Okay. You've been a paralegal?
More than once?
Then why the hell are you telling me about little kid shit? For 3 paragraphs plus, you're telling me about little kid shit.
Yeah.
You're in 4th grade. You're telling me about baseball. You're telling me about the rain. And I have to wait till the 4th paragraph to find out that you've actually been a paralegal who apparently was working in finance?
Yeah.
Well, lead with that. You're just not putting your best foot forward. This is sorry though. The gong went off after one sentence. So we're done, I think, with James.
Yeah. But hey, there's that. The good news is there's something here. Just start with that. And this is very, very common. People need to write their personal statement and then be ready and willing to cut the first 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 paragraphs until they finally get to that thing that actually matters.
What do we think this feedback is at the bottom of the document?
Oh, this is clearly generated by...
Written by AI, right?
Yeah, by ChatGPT or something. I mean, it's the bullet points with the bolded titles. And
it's too well done to be done by a person, right? It's like, it's actually, but the problem is it's bad advice because it's like refine your Mariners analogy. Don't fucking refine the Mariners analogy. Cut that shit. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Tell me about your work. Show me how you're going to be an effective lawyer. I want FOMO that if I don't admit you, you're going to go kick ass in some other law school. You're going to go be a badass attorney graduate from some other law school. Mm-hmm. And you just meandering through the mist with Pacific Northwest baseball. Not getting it done. All right.
Cool.
Thank you, James. Really appreciate everybody for, putting themselves into the personal statement wood chipper here. We're only trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
If you think you have what it takes to beat the record, you can send in your personal statement to help@thinkinglsat.com. You can find us at our website, thinkinglsat.com, or on all the socials as well. Next item.
Yeah, before we go on, so what do we have? We have the shortest gong is 1 line.
One
the
sentence.
Longest,
yeah,
the longest is it's not even a sentence, right? Oh yeah, it was a sentence. We didn't even get to the end.
Well, but in real life though, right? Like if I had a gong, when it said mist.
Oh, you would have gone. You would have hit it.
Well, also the adverb gently was really bad there.
Yeah,
it was just fucking.
I was willing
cringy.
to keep going. I wasn't gonna gong. But I think
it's hard to get less than one sentence. I think you would have to have like an error.
Yeah, but the remember the metric we're using is lines, not sentences. So I don't think we got to 1 line because that sentence ended before the line was done. So
yeah, it was like 0.5 lines.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do 0.5. 0.5 lines. And then the longest is 5 lines. Okay, so that's what people need to beat. 5 lines. Good luck.
Good luck. Thanks for playing. All right.
Yep.
What's the deal, Ben?
Yeah.
What's the deal with Southwestern Law School?
The first thing that comes to mind with Southwestern Law School is Rachel Gezersay. Didn't she go there?
I do think, well, she either went there or wait, did she go there and is an adjunct at USC? Is that her,
I
was
think
that her
so.
deal
Yeah, I
again?
think she went to Southwestern.
Okay. That's interesting. So that shows that you can be an actual successful attorney after going to Southwestern.
Yep.
Southwestern is it's on Wilshire Boulevard in Koreatown, Los Angeles. It's a like beautiful old Art Deco building.
Mm.
It's a super low ranked law school that has been super low ranked throughout the entire time that I've been teaching LSAT.
Mm.
They have to give scholarships to attract qualified applicants. Their numbers are very bad.
Mm.
Uh, they do turn out, credible lawyers. I knew a guy, a friend of a friend who, when I was living in LA, a friend of a friend who was at Southwestern, and he was like valedictorian, and he waltzed out of Southwestern with a big law offer.
Okay.
But he was literally valedictorian of the school.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, there are like recurring rumors about Southwestern losing its accreditation, et cetera, because it's so poorly ranked, and it has bad bar passage rates, it has bad job placement. It's just certainly not the type of school that you want to pay money for.
Yeah.
But I have had friends go there on scholarships and end up having legal careers.
So this idea came to us from Demon team member Brandon. He wrote that Southwestern Law offers every incoming student a scholarship, but only lets half of them keep it. Then they give scholarships out based on class standing. If you're in the top 30%, you get more money. Okay, that's what Brandon wrote. Let's see if that's what the data says as well. I'm sure that's where he's getting it from, but I'm curious.
Okay, so some basics from the ABA 509, 155 median LSAT, 3.49 median GPA. They do have a part-time program, reject rate of 84%.
Yeah, not
right?
surprising. Yep.
Yeah. They had to admit 1,160 people to admit a class of 406. Scrolling down to the tuitions and grants and scholarships page. Sorry, grants and scholarships table. My God. Okay, so $61,000 tuition, first of all.
Yep.
Which is wild for what it is. Just confidently charging UCLA prices when you're distinctly not UCLA, but not actually charging anyone that, because here we have another one of those errors of 950 people in the school.
Yep.
956 of them receive grants. So 101% of the people in the school are getting a scholarship.
Doge would love this. This is the kind of stuff they're looking for.
Yeah. So it looks like 2/3 of those are scammerships. Only 66% of the class is there on 66% of the class is there on a less than half tuition scholarship. But the 509 is reporting 32% getting half to full, 2% full, and 1% more than full. And yeah, those numbers do add up to 101%. I wonder if they just added up those numbers that are rounded. They must have added up the rounded numbers to get to that 101.
Maybe that's what's happening. But then how do they get the 956?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's weird.
I'll have to go drop back to the drawing board on that theory. That's obviously wrong. Okay, so their 75th percentile grant amount for the full-time program is $35,000. Yeah, it doesn't look like they're giving a lot of full scholarships, or even close to full, really.
Yeah.
Their median grant is only $15,000. Wow, I can't believe so many people are paying that much money to go to this school. That's just insane to me.
That's really sad.
I
because
can't
that's
imagine
Harvard
that the value.
It's one of the worst schools in the country, and you're paying the nominal tuition is very close to the top 10 pricing at the schools in the top 10. And what, you're paying more than half? Gosh, dang it.
It's a super attractive location for people who live in LA. I mean, it is a great spot there in Koreatown, and there's great food around. And
Oh dear. Is that what people are focusing on though?
I don't know what people are focusing on. It's just, it's just not the type of school that is going to lead you to, it very often lead you to very lucrative careers. Yeah, if their median grant is $15,000 and everyone's getting a grant, then their median student is paying like $45,000 a year for this school. Just seems like a terrible, terrible investment on the surface.
Well, and it gets worse, right? So Brandon is right. Look at the conditional scholarships table.
Yeah, conditional scholarships have largely fallen out of favor recently, but not at every school. Southwestern is just aggressively giving conditional scholarships and taking them away from people. Last year, 222 people entered with a scholarship, and more than half of those, 114 people, got their scholarship reduced or eliminated.
Wow. That's more than half. Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I guess I would still consider it if I applied broadly and Southwestern was, the best price of any of the schools that I applied to, and it was a conditional scholarship. I guess I would still consider it, but I would be prepared to drop out if I get my scholarship reduced or eliminated. There's no fucking way I would keep paying money if I went in there in my 1L year, didn't perform well against that field of applicants.
Yeah.
If you can't perform well in a school that has a median LSAT of 155 and a median GPA of 3.49, I don't know how you think you're going to compete in legal practice.
Yeah.
And so them taking away the scholarship should be a pretty clear indication. Oh, okay, maybe I should walk away from this plan.
Yeah. Wild. I mean, I guess we always have to remember that 32% are getting half to full, which really means 32% could be getting full tuition plus fees. Wow, that is just wild.
Well, but not though, because the 75th percentile grant amount is only 35,000. So that will limit it somewhat.
Sure,
I suppose there could be 24% of the class that's getting, full tuition minus $1, or full tuition plus fees minus $1.
Yep.
That could be as much as 24% of the class. And I would expect that that's probably kind of what ends up happening in real life, because these schools know that they have to report this data. It's not hard for them to game the offers that they give, to like manipulate their grant, their 75th percentile and their 50th percentile grant. Mm-hmm. They could know very well that, to the extent that they do produce lawyers that are going to make money.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're probably going to have to give damn near full ride scholarships, if not full ride, to get people to go to their school, because there's so many other options, even just in LA.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do we want to go next?
Okay. So those are the conditional scholarships. What's this bit about?
Additional. Yeah. Okay. So scholarships for continuing students. Dean's Academic Leadership Award. Full tuition scholarship to the highest ranking upper division students, typically the top 1% of the class. Yeah, but those are people who could transfer out if they wanted to.
So they're trying to keep them. Yeah. Okay.
On the 509, there were 6 JD1s who transferred out last year out of 406 enrollees. So more than 1%, right? That's 1.5% transfer out anyway.
Yeah.
And so they have this Dean's Academic Leadership Award there to try to keep you. Because if you're the pending valedictorian after the first year, you could probably transfer to USC. I mean, we could verify that to see if USC took any transfers. That's actually worth doing. I'll look that up real quick. Okay, so USC ranked 20th in the country. Schools from which students transferred. Sure enough, 2 transfers from Southwestern last year. Maybe UCLA also takes Southwestern transfers. I mean, why wouldn't they? If you're killing it that hard. But no, they don't. UCLA had no Southwestern transfers. But yeah, a couple at USC. My guess is that there's going to be also transfers to Loyola Law School, probably Irvine, just other SoCal law schools. Those 6 people who left are going, they just are like, well, if I could have USC on my diploma instead of Southwestern on my diploma,
that's a win.
Obviously better. So the school gives 1% of the highest ranking 1%, a full tuition, and then Dean's Merit Award.
Yeah. This is a partial tuition scholarship, so we don't know what that means. That could be quite a range, but that's given to upper division students who have demonstrated academic excellence and are in the top 30% of their class. Award amounts are commensurate with class rank.
Yeah. It's funny how much is commensurate with class rank, right? I mean, that's like how on-campus interviews get doled out. It's largely how jobs get doled out. It's how law review gets you get chosen or not chosen for law review. So much matters. Whether you keep your scholarship or not, it's all about like how well do you compete academically during your first year.
Yeah, it's sad because people look at the school and they say, okay, if I can get into this school, then I can get these potential job opportunities that apparently graduates of this school are getting. But you're not realizing that where you place in the school matters quite a bit.
Yeah. Quick stat from the employment outcomes. Out of 266 graduates last year, 7 of them ended up going into law firms of 250 or more lawyers or federal clerkships. 2.5% big law or federal clerkship placement. 2.5%.
Wow.
So, it's like you need to be there on a full ride. You need to be really killing it. The 6 who transferred out might have ended up working in big law. But very few of the people who end up graduating from the school end up working in big law or the equivalent in a federal clerkship.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wondering, did they even have any federal clerkship placement?
They did, 2.
2 federal clerks. Yeah. So, it's not like it's not real, right? The law school is a real law school.
Things do happen.
I've been there. Yeah, no, I mean, you can go there and end up in big law. You can go there and end up in a federal clerkship. It's just that the vast, vast majority, overwhelming majority of people don't. So to be clear, 97.5% of their graduates do not end up in a big law or federal clerkship role.
Yep.
Great place, I would think, to go if you want to just work in normal lawyer jobs if you're paying the right price. Because, Southwestern's not going to stop you from working in government jobs. It's not going to stop you from working in small firms.
Yeah.
But it absolutely will stop you from working in big law. I mean, it's just going to be really hard to get your foot in the door with big firms or federal judges.
Yep.
How about this bar passage job rate? This is where it gets scary.
So first-time bar passage rate is 64%, and employment at any bar passage job is 68%.
Yeah. So, when over 1/3 of your graduating class is failing the bar the first time around.
Yeah.
And when only 68% of your class eventually gets any bar passage required job, fully 32% of the class is going to Southwestern. These are graduates, by the way. So fully 30, this is not even counting the people who drop out or whatever else happens to them.
Yeah.
The people who go to Southwestern graduate with their JD, yay, potentially paid $60,000 a year. And then 1 out of 3 of them just doesn't end up with a bar passage required job.
Doing what? Sad. Yeah.
Who knows? They do have a couple of mildly interesting programs. I just appreciate it when law schools do anything different.
Sure.
So they have an accelerated 2-year JD program. Unfortunately, it costs the same as the 3-year program. That's true of pretty much all of these programs, by the way. I mean, I did a 1-year
What's
MBA.
the point? I mean, I guess you have the time value of money, but wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's like they get the same money, but faster, the school.
Yeah.
The school's like, oh, cool. We can get 3 years worth of tuition in 2 years? Hell yeah.
These folks look happy.
So they have that program. They also have an online JD program. So they claim it's the first full-time online JD program in the nation. It's 100% online with full-time and part-time tracks. That to me seems really interesting because, boy, even though that's in a great spot, if you live in LA, if you don't live within like a couple miles of that school,
yeah,
it would just be a bitch to try to commute there. It's LA traffic. So, doing something online just makes all the sense in the world to me. So I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you look at the homepage? There was one thing I wanted to kind of like clown on their homepage.
Okay.
Do you see this item do you see that judge sitting there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not a judge. That's not a judge. That's a law student.
That's the impression though you get. You looks like a judge.
Well, because she's wearing like a judge's robe and sitting in a seat that looks like a judge's seat. And
Wow.
the whole story is about what she wants to do.
Hey.
When she thinks about the kind of lawyer and future judge she wants to be, she looks to Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sorry that it's laughable because this is not like Supreme Court justices do not come from Southwestern Law School. Supreme Court justices also don't come from like USC really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a wildly better school.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny that funny, like sad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the top of, that's the first person that you see on their website.
Yep.
And it looks like a judge, but it's a law student who wants to be a judge, like wearing a judge's robe and sitting in a judge's seat. It's a fake judge. It's pretending to be a judge. That's not a real judge.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. They got marketing down.
Yeah. / fraud. I mean, it just doesn't, I don't know. It's just sad, because think of all the first generation, poor, naive people.
Yeah.
Who are going to sign their life away to go to this school. They're going to graduate with $250,000 of debt because they think they're going to go become the next Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
And that just ain't happening at this school.
Yeah.
But they're selling it. Anyway, that's the deal with Southwestern Law School.
Let's go to word of the week. We have tariff. This is from you.
Yeah. Tariffs have been in the news lately.
What?
Tariffs have been in the news quite a lot. In fact, today, which is as we record, this is April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
And I saw all kinds of news stories about how today was going to be the day that Trump was going to announce a whole bunch of new tariffs. I need to look it up because it's just so funny.
Did he go to college? Did he do econ like 101?
From his economic policy choices, it does not seem as if he did study business at all. What was he trying to call this? This is pretty hilarious. Oh yeah. According to, I read this in 3 papers this morning: Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, all say the equivalent of, this is from the Times. President Trump is set to reveal the details of his global tariff plan tomorrow, a date he has called Liberation Day. Okay. And then it says advisors have not yet decided whether the White House will raise or lower tariffs.
I don't know how to be liberated. I'm not sure. Okay.
Well, economists on both sides of the aisle have agreed that tariffs are a terrible idea. The S&P 500 has had its worst month in over 2 years on this news. It's, the market just sees it as chaos and bad for the economy because trade is good for the economy.
Yeah, we're losing all the competitive advantage that both countries have when they contribute to international trade, or any country that's trading with another country.
That's the whole point of doing trade.
Yeah.
Trade is supposed to be good because I have some shit, you have some shit.
I'm better at making that shit than you are.
Exactly.
And vice versa. And so let's trade and get the inherent efficiencies associated with that. And we're trying to get rid of that. Okay. This is really going backwards.
We have a quote here from Investopedia that says, tariffs can affect the prices of products made in the home country, as well as those imported from other countries. Many economists argue that tariffs create market distortions that can harm domestic consumers over time. They can also lead to a trade war if trading partners impose tit-for-tat tariffs. So, Ben, what is a tariff? What is the definition of a tariff?
I would say it's a tax on imports.
Yeah, it's a word that Republicans allegedly hate. But Trump has said that it's his favorite word in the English language. It's a beautiful word, tariffs.
Wait, when did he say that?
I mean, why do you listen to anything he says? But a tariff is a tax. It is, naive, ignorant view is, but it's a tax on foreign goods.
Yeah.
So that's good, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's actually going to jack up the price of cars because there's so much trade across the US-Canada border, so much trade across the US-Mexico border that it just, when you start taxing shit that comes from other countries, one, it's already making it more expensive to manufacture stuff in the United States. But that's before you even get to the tit for tat part where your trading partners are like, fuck you, you're going to tax our shit. Well, guess what? We're going to tax your shit.
Yeah.
And so then all you do is just make trade less efficient by having some portion of that money siphoned off to the government.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I thought Doge was like supposed to be... I thought we were like cutting government expenditures. Well, then why are you also trying to raise taxes to
GDP?
Yeah. Just insane. Anyway, word of the week is tariff, and it means tax.
That's what it means. Yeah. Hey, be LSAT famous. Please ask questions or share news with us on our website, thinkinglsat.com, or on our socials at LSAT Demon. That was episode 501 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. Thanks all y'all for listening. Nice knowing you. Don't pay for law school.